Okay.
Okay, cool. So, Arjun, thank you for joining me today. And I'm going to read the biography that you just sent, and this is it. So,
Good.
all right, Arjun C hails from Kerala. I know I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Kerala, India, and is currently pursuing PhD at the, and I definitely cannot pronounce that. Can you name the school you are pursuing your PhD at?
It's Jawaharlal Nehru University.
Okay, and that's why he is pursuing a PhD. What is the PhD in?
I'm doing it in comparative politics, like and political theory, basically.
Cool. He has stories published in SAMJOKO magazine and Solarpunk magazine. And so beforehand, I asked Arjun to prepare a excerpt, maybe about 2 minutes from his story that was published in SAMJOKO magazine. So could you first just say your name and then just read the excerpt you have prepared?
Okay, like I'm Arjun. So this is my story. My grandma, that Tigress. Rahul stood there burdened with a belief of his grandmother. He had to, as not doing so today would have made him feel like a traitor. He had not yet completely submitted his rational thinking to what Grandma had said. He had researched his family's history, and there was a lot that helped her story, but nothing strong enough to prove it. Everything was merely circumstantial. The circus part was true, and the Sri Lanka part too. He had even met his long lost relatives when he visited the island country a few months back. The rational man he was fiercely rejected every word of hers. But the grandchild here was respecting her memory today. It was, after all, her death anniversary. He closed in towards the railing, and the creature was there inside the enclosure, under the dark shades of the peepal tree. In all his glory, he lay there unconcerned of the attention of hundreds of eyes. The sight took him back to the day his grandma's tantrums about the creature had reached its peak. Son, she began, long before all this, much before your father became an officer, our family, by that I mean your grandpa and me, had a circus. A big one. Well, it was passed on to him, but we made it big. You know all this, right? Rahul had grown up listening to all this and couldn't understand why this was being repeated. He looked at her and realized that the grandma had gone into a sort of sadness that only old people at the end of their lives could enter. A state of not having to do anything more about it, a state of total acceptance of the sadness. She grabbed onto his hand tightly and leaned on with all her strength. She continued, those were the days when circuses were the most awaited event anywhere in the subcontinent, and it was most popular in the southern part of India. And that's exactly why I ended up here. Every year, a bunch would come from Ceylon as guest performers and would return after the summer season. Your grandpa's family owned the circus that hired us, but tragedies struck soon as his parents died in an accident. Soon, all of us were asked to return, but I had already fallen in love with him. At first, our relationship was mocked as just a crush by the elders, but we persisted, and they had to agree. As I was an orphan, my manager was happy that more than happy to leave me here. From then on, it was a long struggle for us, fighting against the relatives who wanted a piece of the inheritance, finding new acts, and pleasing the pocket of every town's administration. And guess what? After all this, your grandpa dropped a bomb on my head.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. All
One night,
right.
he took me
Oh,
inside a cage and performed the rite. He humbled the right, he mumbled the right words and handed over the paste to be applied behind his ears. I followed his instructions. Within minutes, okay,
oh,
was
sorry,
that
there's a
enough?
lag. I thought you had paused. Yeah.
Okay,
No,
okay,
finish because I'm going to edit this anyway. So go ahead, finish it. Finish what you were reading.
okay, okay. One night he took me inside a cage and performed the rite. He mumbled the right words and handed over the paste to be applied behind his ears. I followed his instructions. Within minutes, what stood in front of me was the most beautiful and fierce tiger I had ever seen in my life. He jumped onto me and started licking my face. That night, we made a plan to revive the old circus company. I would become the tiger taming Miss Tigress, and he would be the tamed every night. That's it. Like,
All right, yeah, thank you for reading. And so, actually, I just want to say it's very exciting to be talking to you. I watch a lot of chess. I know right now that in India, there's a lot of very big grandmasters. And actually, I think the number two in India is named Arjun. So when I saw your name, I
yeah,
was just thinking about that guy, actually. He's like number two and number one. I forget which was one, but I think he's number two right now. But anyway,
yeah. I think Pragananda.
right, yeah, Prague. Prague is number one, and then
Yeah,
Gukesh maybe is number three, the world champion. But
yeah.
anyway, it's very cool talking to someone from India right now. So anyway, the first question I want to ask is, for those who haven't read the story, what is this story about?
Story about, in the sense, it would be like, uh, I grew up listening to a lot of stories from my grandmother. Like, it would be funny, but she believes in a lot of stuff. She believes in a lot of ghostly stuff and like folk tales. And I come from a very down south. Come from a village which is very interior, which is a very rural village. So this story is essentially a part of it is essentially taken from there. From because in my village, these circuses used to come every year. So around that there would be a lot of stories, and I got the idea of story from there. So it was basically uh, a grandchild coming in terms with the stories that his grandmother has always passed on to him.
And as a follow-up question, do these circuses still come through that? These type of circuses do still come through that area, or are they now kind of no longer something that happens in 2025?
Now it's very rare, and nowadays it's very rare, especially in my place, because now it has slowly transitioned into a town. But it still goes to the like very rural areas. Like you would have seen a very popular Indian rap song which became popular last year, where they had the video of a well where they ride the where they ride the where they ride a car and bike on a well, on a death well. Like that rap song was very popular all around the world. So I had seen all that where these people drive car on a well, wall of a well. Like so these all these acts used to come with the circus, and the quality of the well was so bad that the whole structure used to shake whenever these cars used to go around the well. It was like very dangerous, but that was the thrill of it. Like
Okay, so there's just one more follow-up question because I know how the story kind of goes. Were there many accidents at these kind of circuses?
yeah, definitely, because in rural places there is no these uh, checkings by the administration and all, and more like I've said, mostly they pay the town administrations. Like so there is no checks and balances. So it was very usual, like it used to happen, and they would be like, "Ha, it happens," like
Okay,
not
okay,
to be taken
all right.
seriously.
Second question, and you kind of actually already answered the question, but I'll ask anyway, just in case you want to add anything else. How did you
Mm.
conceive the idea of this story?
So, like for example, during post-independence in India. So while mostly India was a rural place at that time. So, but India was a center in South Asia for circuses. So acts from all over the world used to come and perform. Specifically, my place, the place where this story is set, that is Kerala, a state which is in the south of India, like the southernmost tip, and it had a like world's like one of the first elected communist governments. So they had a good relationship with the Soviet Union. So Soviet Union had a good circus culture. So these guys used to always come to Kerala, and they used to run, they used to tour throughout the state. And even India had a good relationship. So as a part of soft power, circuses used to come from Soviet Union and they used to perform. And along with that, circuses from actors from neighboring countries also used to come. So I thought, why not put a story where um, the person is coming from neighboring Sri Lanka, which was then Ceylon. Uh, so she would be in a vulnerable position, it would be good for the person who is turning into a tiger to trust her. So they would be building a relationship and they would be building a circus out of it. And the particular act of transitioning into a tiger is based on a folk tale in my hometown. So in my hometown, you know about the caste system. Like
Mm.
we had a very bad caste system. So where there were untouchables and lower caste people. Uh, they had a folk tale where these people at night, some of the communities, untouchable communities, quote unquote, they can transform into a animal and take revenge on the oppressive upper caste people.
Okay.
So it was a folk tale of liberation for them. So such folk tales exist. So the idea of transitioning that came from a particular community called audience, and these audience were known for taking transitioning and doing acts like what a Robin Hood would do, like going into the upper caste settlement and taking things, killing the oppressors, bringing food for the marginalized people. So the idea of that came from that particular tribe community.
I will say that that's actually extremely interesting. You ever thought to write like a novel or even a nonfiction piece about the history of the
Yeah,
circuses in that area? It would be really interesting.
yes, yes. Actually, there are like multiple angles within it. For example, where are you from? Like you are from US.
Yeah, right now I'm
Like,
currently in the United
where are you from?
States. Yes.
Yeah. So, for example, uh, uh, you would be very interested to know, there is even a local deity here uh, who is a quote unquote uh, African, uh, because when British came here, they used to bring slaves, right? And the slaves and the lower caste people here had a coalition because slaves were only accepted by the lower caste people because they were also marginalized. And one of the person later ended up being a god here, local god called Kapini Muttappan, and he has a temple also here.
Hmm.
So the place, the local down south, we have gods which belong to multiple countries, and all these are gods of certain communities, like local gods.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, if you ever
Like
want to write about that, I mean, that would be a really interesting fiction book, nonfiction book, memoir. It's all quite interesting. So yeah, you should maybe think about trying to write down some of
yeah.
these things. All right. Question number three. Uh,
Hmm.
so I'm only assuming, I could be wrong, but I'm only assuming that English is not your native language. And so, what
Yeah.
tips would you give in order to, like, for someone who wants to write in a non-native language, so someone who wants to write in English who's from India, what tips would you give on how to write in a non-native language?
Non-native language, it would be like basically reading because after I got like two stories published, my friends also asked me. So mostly people read a lot of novels, but reading short fiction is like a writing short fiction is a whole different game, right? Than novels. People read very less short fiction, and I would we because we even have reading circles here. So people who are interested, so we gather around every weekly. We select a short story. For example, if we are selecting something by Anton Chekhov, so we will meet every Saturday. Then we will sit and discuss. So that practice has really helped us, like analyzing, bringing each other's points. So we slowly realize, okay, we can write like this. So this is structure we can use. And next week, someone would bring a totally different story which he would like, and we would have never experienced something like that. So I think discussing and discussing with your friends and making a group would really help uh,
Mm.
to build ideas. Like, so that has worked for me.
Okay, and then the next question is, again, a tip. What tip would you give on to someone if they want to write magic realism? Because I kind of consider your story to be magic realism.
Yes.
So, what tip would
Yeah,
you
yeah.
give on how to write a magic realist story?
So the thing is, because I come from the south, we have a tradition. Like for example, mostly I am now staying in the north of India. So the dominant form of fiction writing here has been realism. Like because of the colonial history, poverty, and everything. Mostly the popular writers have all been realist. But where I come from down the south, um, I read 100 Years of Solitude and lot of Latin American works in my own language, Malayalam. Where I come from, we have a huge connection to Latin America because of our socialist and quote-unquote communist past. So we only when I read like this magical realism story, I realized that we could, okay, I can this such stories can also be written. Until then, I was okay, it should always be realistic. It should be about what is affecting us in real life. It should be about governments. It should be about people. So, uh, so you can take a real situation and put something into that that is that can't be explained, and you can follow that element. Once you follow that element to the end, you would have a magical realism story. Like put up a very even in the story, the guy is a very he's an atheist. He's a very rational person. He would never believe in such a thing. But for the sake of his grandmother, he is giving a chance to that belief, and that thread he carries on towards the end. And on the end, we have a revelation that okay, this is also possible. Such a world is also possible. So I always use feel that like keep a small, add a small element of fantasy into that. Very small.
Okay, and you actually already mentioned someone, but I'll see if we have anyone else. Can you name a magic realist story? You actually did just mention one, but if you have any more that you felt was exemplary and why? Did you hear me?
Oh, am I audible? Like,
Okay. Yeah, so can you name
oh,
a magic realist story that you felt was exemplary and why?
okay. Um, uh, I would my one of my favorite magical realism stories is Paper Menagerie by Ken Louis. So Paper Menagerie by Ken Louis is like wonderful story. Like you could really feel both the realism and the magical part separately, and even as a coherent piece, you can like feel it. For example, the story is about an Asian mother who is married to a American and who is finding it tough to adapt to the American way of living. I think she is from Philippines or Southeast Asia, somewhere from Southeast Asia, and her child has always hated her, and her child has always been attached to the father more, uh, and always he has not even tried to understand her. But once she dies, after she dies, there is a certain the only thing she has left for him is uh, origami, and through that, the figures speak to him, and through that he is learning his mother's history and his own the consequences of his own action towards her, and how he has misunderstood her, and what can be done to that. And it is a very good story. Like, it is very short story. Like, I have actually once I read it, I actually mailed it to all of my friends, and I forced them to read that story. So Ken Lewis Paper Menagerie is like wonderful.
Can
I
you
would always
spell the
recommend it
name?
to people who want to get into magical realism.
Spell the name of the author. Can you spell the name?
Uh, Paper Menagerie. Paper Menagerie.
And the name of the writer. What's the name of the writer one more time?
Ken Louis. Kenliu. Ken Louis.
Okay, cool. All right, and
Yeah.
actually that's about it. So before we go, do you want to have any shout outs or talk about anything you're working on regarding writing or anything you have coming out or something like that? Do you want to mention something that you're doing regarding writing?
Yeah, I'm trying to write more now, because right now I'm very busy with my PhD work. So
Mm.
I have for now I have finished the necessary part. So next 2 months I will be trying my best to produce as much as short stories possible. I'm not yet confident to write, even attempt writing a novel. So I would only be trying to focus, and I've been sending out a lot of stories, but rejections. I've been keep getting rejections, or uh, like for example, not. I've been getting personal rejections, which I feel it's a good improvement. So I hope that's all I have. I hope in coming days I will get some acceptance.
But Arjun, thank you for talking to me. And again, I'll mention again that the stories about the circus and the history of the circus and the history of the
Mm,
tiger and the mythology around it, those are really interesting. So I would suggest that you
yeah.
write about that because that is, I mean, people in the rest of the world don't know about this. I found that very interesting. I think other people will too. But
Yeah.
again, yeah, thank you for talking to me. And I'm about to stop recording now. Let's see.
Thank you
Stop
for
record.
inviting.
No problem.